If you had billions of dollars, would you choose to sleep on an office sofa for 3 years? Most people enjoy a luxury life after getting rich, but Musk chose to push himself to the edge of bankruptcy. He saw that a comfortable life was actually just a grave for human civilization. So he spent 20 years jumping into explosion sites to build rockets that no one believed in. Today we analyze the most crazy Iron Man in Silicon Valley, Elon Musk.
The story starts in a violent school in Pretoria, South Africa in 1980. Actually, the air there was often full of dust and the sweat of bullies. Young Musk was hiding in a corner of the library to read an old encyclopedia. Suddenly, several strong boys rushed in and pushed him down the stairs very hard. It felt like a heavy blow from the whole world against his small body. Because of this serious injury, he was unconscious for a long time and needed surgery. However, his actual childhood was even more depressing than the physical pain. He grew up in a home full of cold looks and very strict rules. Outside his window, there were no fairy tales but only a deep obsession with space. In fact, he spent every single day building complex physics formulas in his mind. This lonely environment forced him to learn how to build new worlds with logic. He started to watch how rockets worked and he taught himself to code games. He even remembered the faint light of the code flashing on his computer screen. Later, he brought his huge dreams and only $2,000 to Silicon Valley. But the investors thought his ideas were too crazy and he sounded like a madman. One man even laughed at him and said online banking was impossible. Musk was incredibly stubborn and he worked 20 hours a day in a small office. He slept on a cheap beanbag chair because he did not want to waste time. He was rejected hundreds of times while looking for money, but he never looked back. Finally, he sold his first company and he became a millionaire at a very young age. Actually, he did not buy a private island to enjoy the sunshine. Instead, he put every cent into the most expensive and dangerous industries. He moved into a simple factory to live with engineers covered in oil and dirt. He watched every flame from the engine and every loose screw on the rocket. At the first launch site, every worker was sweating because of the huge pressure. They asked Musk what he would do if the rocket exploded again. This decision led him to the darkest 3 consecutive failures in human history. But Musk wanted to do more than just making some easy money. Then, he found the space agency with a contract that was his last chance. Actually, traditional experts did not like Musk's amateur methods at the beginning. He thought wasting taxpayers' money like big companies was very stupid. However, the cruel reality forced him to face the edge of total bankruptcy. Later, Falcon 1 finally broke the darkness before dawn and reached the sky. Overnight, Musk became a god who dared to challenge the power of gravity. Wherever he went, the flashing cameras tried to catch the tiredness in his eyes. It felt like walking on a sharp blade while trying to stay elegant. He hated that people only talked about his wealth and ignored his Mars dream. So he decided to challenge the limits again to change the car industry. He refused to make boring cars that produced black smoke and noise. Instead, he chose electric power, which was called a dead end by everyone. He wanted to kill the old industrial age to find clean energy for the future. He let his hair turn white and he stopped caring about luxury parties. Later, he met many experts who laughed at his expensive lies. These people believed that an electric car company could never survive. During the hardest time for Tesla, he moved his bed to the factory floor. In fact, his eyes showed a very scary and destructive persistence. When he posted shocking words on social media, the whole world started to argue. He hit the traditional ideas about cars very hard like a heavy hammer. The sharp pressure from the public tested his nerves every single night. Read loss numbers started to fill the financial reports and the news headlines. But Musk did not say stop or ask for any pity from others. Instead, he used his hands covered in oil to lead the future of driving. Everyone was terrified because he risked his entire reputation on one goal. When Model 3 finally succeeded, all the critics closed their mouths. However, success was only a ticket for him to enter the next hell. For 20 years, the internet made mean jokes about his possible bankruptcy. But this only made him work harder than anyone else in Silicon Valley. In 2020, he proved again that reusable rockets were not science fiction. The temperature in deep space was close to the absolute zero. Actually, this exploration felt like humans searching in a dark forest. He put his reputation into a furnace to show the ultimate engineering miracle. He worked for dozens of hours for just one small improvement in code. His face turned pale and his internal pressure was shaking his heart. Musk is a famous realist who only believes in the laws of physics. But destiny wanted him to eat the most bitter medicine for human future. When the rocket landed precisely, the applause filled the whole control center. He started to release his misunderstood humor in late-night tweets. The veins on his neck popped out because of the long-term high stress. Later, he even bought a social media giant to protect his view of freedom. This was not a business anymore, because it was a real war for civilization. In 2026, millions of people watched his Starship plan on their screens. Finally, the countdown ended and a huge cloud of steam brought hope. Famous scientists stood up to show their deep respect for this man. But Musk was very calm when the crowd was shouting his name. In fact, he spent all his time thinking about how to move life to Mars. He has donated and invested billions of dollars to accelerate energy transition. He even traveled to the front lines of drilling to solve efficiency problems. Outside of business, he likes to avoid fake social parties. He wears a simple black t-shirt and looks like a normal geek. He refuses to use smooth words to hide his massive ambition. He believes that a true leader must stay focused on the ultimate goal. In the Starlink project, he played the role of weaving a global net. He stared at the computer for 2 days to learn satellite orbit data. He wanted his signal to show full bars even in the poorest desert. Later in the Neuralink experiment, he practiced connecting human nerves. He did thousands of simulations to find the safest way for the brain. Actually, he wanted to show the endless possibility of human intelligence. Most billionaires take the easy way when they reach the top. But Musk always takes the most dangerous road to force himself. He will fight with engineers for hours for the density of one battery. He has almost no hobbies that waste time in his daily life. His only focus is whether human civilization can continue to exist. This extreme persistence makes him an industrial master of the world. Actually, he does not need any more titles to prove his value. His name is now a mark of high technology and hardcore spirit. When you see his tired and old face in the news, please do not feel strange. Every wrinkle is a price he paid to fight against gravity. He tells us that life is just breathing without a great mission. Musk is still looking for the next crazy plan to stop your heart. He never tries to please anyone but the physical truths in his mind. This is why he is the true pioneer of our modern time. He used his life to show us the power of the first principle. Actually, many people think he is just a gambler who is good at marketing. But he was improving circuit boards while others were on private beaches. In fact, his willpower is much harder than any piece of steel. He pushed the boundaries of humanity every single day at the site. Later, we realized that he was not just fighting for more wealth. He was sacrificing his private life to get a backup for humans. So, stop calling him a billionaire who only likes to tweet. He is a warrior who won the war against mediocre thinking. Every experiment he makes is a brave lesson for all of us. He teaches us to stay hungry for the future and always look up. However, his love life is still a big joke for the public. They count his children and every single failed relationship. But this is just a crack left by his mechanical heart inside. Inside, he is still that boy who was pushed down the stairs in Africa. That bullying gave him a fire that never stops burning for revenge. He uses that fire to burn down the old and backward industries. In fact, he is the most disobedient person on this entire planet. He does not care about what is written in business textbooks. He only cares whether that rocket can stand firmly on the deck. To reach Mars, he learned everything about rocket propellants. He even forced himself to suffer that pressure that others cannot imagine. Later, he spent weeks checking code until his eyes turned red. This level of focus is almost like a religion to him. Most people want the result, but they do not want the pain in the process. Musk embraces the anxiety like an old and loyal friend. So, when he finally succeeded, he did not cry at all. He knew he deserved it many desperate and dark nights ago. Actually, money is just a fuel to distribute resources to him. The real prize was the roar of the rocket crossing the atmosphere. He found his hardest soul in the ruins of the explosions. That is the only key to open the gate of a new age. He is always moving, always changing, and always being misunderstood. But this conflict makes his life very grand and beautiful. Later, we will tell our children about his legends of the stars. It won't be about his wealth, but about his brave heart. In fact, he is a lighthouse for all the entrepreneurs today. He shows them that there are no smooth paths to reach Mars. You must be willing to eat the bitter fruit of failure. You must be brave enough to destroy the comfort you already have. Only then can you find the sea of stars for all humans. Musk did it, and he is still doing it today. He is the last of the real and hardcore dreamers. So, next time you feel weak, please think of him. Think of the 3 failures while he put all his money on the line. Think of the deep sleep on the factory floor in that dark night. Actually, your ambition is your strongest propellant in this world. This is the core logic of Musk's entire life. He is a madman, a hero, and a true pioneer of our time. Let's respect this man who chose the hardest way possible.
He killed the mediocre rich man with decades of persistence and rebuilt an interstellar soul. The story is over. Now let's go to important together to learn some core words.
In the story, Musk is a very extreme entrepreneur.
Yes, and the word for that is hardcore.
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 So, what does hardcore really mean here?
It means being very intense, tough, and serious. Musk is a hardcore dreamer who sleeps on the factory floor.
That is truly intense, and I noticed he had a deep love for space since he was a kid.
Exactly, we call that obsession.
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 Is obsession different from just liking something?
Yes, it means you can't stop thinking about it. His obsession with Mars made him spend every cent he had.
That's interesting. I guess that's why he refused to listen to the experts.
You are right, he was very stubborn about his goals.
Stubborn.
Stubborn.
Is being stubborn always a bad thing?
Not in his case, it means you don't change your mind easily. He was too stubborn to give up even after 3 explosions.
I see, and then suddenly, after the 4th rocket succeeded, everything changed.
Correct, he became a global icon overnight.
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 So overnight describes a very sudden change.
Yes, it means it happened in a very short time. He became a superstar overnight after the rocket reached the sky.
But he didn't stop to enjoy it, he kept testing his own boundaries.
True, he always likes to push to the limit.
Push to the limit.
Push to the limit.
What does it actually feel like to push to the limit?
It means trying as hard as you can until you can't go any further. He pushed his body to the limit by working 20 hours a day.
That sounds painful. He gave up a lot of personal things for his mission.
Yes, it was a very big sacrifice.
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 So sacrifice is giving up something valuable for a higher goal.
Exactly, he believed that building a colony on Mars required a huge sacrifice.
Wow, and he has a very special way of solving these difficult problems.
You mean his famous first principle.
First principle.
First principle.
Is it some kind of rule?
It means breaking things down to the most basic truths. He used the first principle to lower the cost of his space rockets.
That's very smart, and at the end of the story, you mentioned his ambition.
Yes, ambition is his strongest propellant.
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 Is a propellant like the fuel for a rocket?
Exactly, it is the power that moves something forward. Your own passion should be the propellant for your life.
Musk's life tells us that only through extreme persistence can we reach the stars. Thank you for listening today, and don't forget to find your own propellant.